I spent decades of my life trapped in a battle I didn't even know I was fighting. Born into a world that refused to acknowledge people like me, I wandered through life wearing masks that suffocated me, altering my voice, my mannerisms, and even my dreams just to survive. I grew up in a time when the words transgender and non-binary were either non-existent or spoken in whispers, if at all. There was no guidebook, no science-backed literature in my reach, no language that could articulate what I felt deep within. And so, like countless others, I internalized the lie that I was broken. For years, I carried this burden, believing that the dissonance I felt inside was something I needed to fix. I became an actor in my own life, tailoring my existence to meet society's expectations. I spoke softer or louder, depending on what the moment required. I performed masculinity or femininity when it was advantageous, not because it reflected who I was, but because survival demanded it. It wasn't until I was 40 that the truth finally shattered the illusion. I am a transgender, non-binary individual. That realization, liberating and devastating in equal measure, forced me to confront the years I had lost to societal lies. The problem was never me. It was the rigid, binary world that refused to expand its understanding of humanity. But this story isn't about my pain. It's about the children who are growing up today in a world that has both advanced and regressed in terrifying ways. Today, science is on their side. Gender studies, psychology, and biology collectively affirm that gender is not a rigid binary but a spectrum. Transgender and non-binary identities are real. They are valid. They are natural. Yet, there are people in power, politicians, religious leaders, so-called educators, who are held to truth. They spread lies under the guise of protecting children, when, in reality, they are the ones causing irreversible harm. They deny trans and non-binary kids the right to exist authentically. They strip them of affirming healthcare, ban books that reflect their realities, and push forward legislation that brands them as anomalies or threats. Let me be clear, these actions are not about policy. They are about control. They are about fear of a world where gender isn't a weaponized binary, fear of a generation that refuses to be boxed in, fear of losing the power to dictate who gets to thrive and who must shrink. I know the cost of that shrinking. I have lived it. When you force a child to deny who they are, you break something inside them. You plant seeds of self-hatred, confusion, and despair that can take decades, if ever, to uproot. I know this because it took me 40 years to even begin the process. 40 years of questioning my worth, my place in the world, my right to exist as I am. And I refuse to stand by and watch it happen again. This is not a polite request for change. This is a demand. To the lawmakers crafting anti-trans legislation, to the school boards banning inclusive curricula, to the religious leaders preaching intolerance from their pulpits, you are complicit in the trauma you are inflicting. You do not get to claim morality while actively endangering children's lives. You do not get to disguise your prejudice as concern. Every trans and non-binary child deserves a life free from fear, free from shame, and full of possibility. And if the cost of protecting them is making you uncomfortable, good. You should be uncomfortable. You should be terrified of a generation that refuses to be broken the way I was. But this isn't just on the lawmakers. It's on every adult who turns a blind eye. It's on every teacher who stays silent, every doctor who hesitates, every family member who chooses convenience over compassion. If you see this happening and do nothing, you are part of the problem. We need allies who are louder than the bigots. We need policies rooted in science, not fear. We need schools that educate, not indoctrinate. We need families who love without conditions. But most of all, we need relentless, merciless advocacy for trans and non-binary kids, because the people who want to erase them are relentless too. Politicians who push anti-trans laws are not simply misinformed. They are dangerous. They know exactly what they are doing. They aim to erase identities, to silence voices, and to maintain a status quo that benefits from oppression. They play politics with children's lives, trading their well-being for votes and power. These are not leaders. They are oppressors, and it's time to expose them for what they are. To families of transgender and non-binary children, you are your child's first and most vital line of defense. Your acceptance can be the difference between life and death. Your love can be the shield that protects them from a world eager to hurt them. Stand tall. Fight loudly. Don't let anyone, whether it's a politician, a neighbor, or even a relative, tell your child they are less than. And to trans and non-binary children reading this, you are not broken. You are not wrong. You are not alone. You are the future this world desperately needs. And though some people will try to silence you, erase you, or shame you, know this: there is a growing army of people fighting for you. We see you. We believe in you. And we will not let them break you. I didn't get to thrive the way I wanted. I didn't get the childhood I deserved. But that doesn't mean the next generation has to suffer the same fate. I am here, now, using my voice because I won't let them break the children. If you're reading this and you have power, whether it's in a classroom, a courtroom, or your own living room, use it. Speak up. Vote differently. Challenge the narratives designed to erase us. Protect trans and non-binary kids like your life depends on it, because theirs does. This is my story, but it's also their future, and I refuse to let history repeat itself. We have a chance to break the cycle. Let's not waste it. This is a fight for visibility, for survival, and for dignity. It's not enough to be quietly supportive. Passive allies will not dismantle systems of oppression. We need fighters, loud voices, unwavering defenders of trans and non-binary lives. Families, educators, healthcare professionals. Every one of you has a role to play. Imagine a world where trans and non-binary children grow up unburdened by shame, where they can dream boundlessly, love openly, and live authentically. That world is possible, but only if we demand it, build it, and protect it fiercely. To politicians and power holders who choose to stand on the wrong side of history, we see you. We see your fear-mongering, your lies, and your cruelty. We will not let you go unchallenged. You will be remembered not as protectors, but as oppressors. And one day, when these children rise in their truth and power, as they inevitably will, you will answer for your actions. To trans and non-binary youth, fight. Love yourself relentlessly. Find your community. And never, ever apologize for existing. You are worthy. You are powerful. And you are necessary. This is not the end of the fight. It's only the beginning. We will not be erased. We will not be silenced. And we will not let them break the children. The future belongs to you. And we're here to make sure you get there,